wannamakabet.com. It is the Monday morning quarterback where we look back at all the games from Sunday in the NFL. Welcome to October, upset October. Got a nice, healthy start yesterday. There were a lot of really shocking results. Some big favorites lost the game outright, and we'll cover everything today. And we're going to start off with the Cleveland Browns playing the Minnesota Vikings in London. It was Dillon Gabriel's debut. He actually had a decent game, 19 of 33 for 190 yards, but his completion percentage was only 57%. He did have 2 Ds, no interceptions, although there were a couple of close calls. And Keyshawn Junkins had a great game also, 23 carries for 110. He didn't get in the end zone, but really solid day running the ball hard. But at the end of the day, it was all about Carson Wentz and Justin Jefferson. Jefferson 7 for 123. He didn't get a TD, but 11 targets. He had a 38-yarder when it mattered most. Mason had 13 for 52 and a TD, but Carson Wentz 25 of 34 for 236, a 73% completion percentage. Really good job throwing the ball. He had a touchdown. He did not throw any interceptions. Yeah, I mean, he got 3 sacks, but when it mattered most, and the Minnesota defense got a key stop late in the game with about 3 minutes left. And the drive, get the ball back, drive the ball down the field, and Justin Jefferson, helping him, and Addison actually, who got benched at the beginning of this game, had a very key touchdown at the end of the game with sort of time down, and so gets the cover. They were laying 3.5. They were down 17-14 and driving. They end up scoring a touchdown, not a field goal. We thought it was going to go to overtime, the Cleveland bettors, and they were going to get there with the half point. But, Minnesota ends up winning the game 21-14. The game stayed under the 36. This was a total that sort of came out at 41. And then as soon as Dillon Gabriel got announced, the total came down to like in the high 30s, 36, 37. And it ended up going over that total. But I say a good showing for Dillon Gabriel and a decent day for the Browns. I didn't think they were going to win this game, and ultimately they didn't. But they certainly had a chance, and it was a little bit alarming. But I think again they showed their real problems on offense. David Njoku cannot be the leading receiver on this team, and he continues to be the leading receiver on this team. When you look at the stat line, we had. Cedric Tillman got hurt earlier in the week, so we had to use Isaiah Bond, and he ended up getting targeted a lot. But Jerry Jeudy, underwhelming performance. Only 5 targets, 2 receptions for 15 yards. I mean, he's supposed to be our wide receiver 1, and he has 15 yards. Not good. Isaiah Bond, only had 29 yards. He was targeted 7 times and only had 2 receptions. So again, Njoku, great game. He got a touchdown. He had 67 yards, but I continue to believe that a David Njoku is the number 1 receiver Cleveland Browns. They're not going to win a lot of games. Next game up was Houston, Baltimore. I mean, this was a game that on paper screaming Houston based on the injuries to the Baltimore Ravens. Specifically on defense, Roquan Smith, inactive. Kyle Hamilton, inactive. Marlon Humphrey, the slot corner, inactive. Awuzie, inactive. And not to mention, last of but not least, Lamar Jackson, inactive. So how are they going to possibly win this game? And, it happened with San Francisco. They had a lot of people inactive, although Mac Jones played pretty well, but they came into this game decimated with injuries, both at the quarterback position and specifically on defense. And the defense wasn't playing well to begin with. And Houston, who's been struggling on offense, come in here and just rolled these guys. Final score was 44-10. It goes over. They were laying 1. It started creeping up. By the end of the game, they were laying 2.5 when all these, on Sunday morning, all these officials, these injuries became official. And congrats to Houston. They came in here and pounded these guys into the ground. It was all Houston all the time, right from the beginning. Houston gets the win and the cover. As they improved to 2-3 after a rough start. 2 big wins the last couple of weeks over the Tennessee Titans, and now this. They're right back in this picture. Miami, Carolina, great game. Carolina started the week off as a 1-point favorite. Then it was a lot of money being taken by Miami. I think people thought that they were a much better team, but Carolina just plays so well at home. They have so much energy on both sides of the ball. Tua, 27 of 36 for 256. He had a good game, 75% completion percentage and 3 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle for 110. Waller and had a TD and 78 yards. He was a good fantasy pickup for me. And Bryce Young, 19 of 30 for 198, 63% completion percentage. He had 2 TDs. He did have an interception. But the story of this game was really Rico Dowdle. 23 carries for 206 yards and a touchdown. Chuba Hubbard was announced that he was going to be out, and Dowdle came in here and absolutely stepped up and dominated this football game. It was really great to see, especially because I picked him up in fantasy in our league, and he just ran roughshod over this really bad Miami defense, and Carolina gets the win. Improves their record to 2-3. I think it's Tampa's division to lose when it comes to the NFC South, but and they improved to 4-1 this week. But Carolina really showed out yesterday and made some key plays down the stretch. But man, what a day for Rico Dowdle. As they get the cover and the game goes over. The Las Vegas Raiders came in Indianapolis to play the Colts and got absolutely smashed. Geno Smith, another horrible day. Last week it was 3 interceptions. This week it was 2. 25 of 36 for 228 and 69% completion percentage. But I mean, Jesus, 2 interceptions, 4 sacks. It was just a horrible day for Geno. Bad Geno showed up. We didn't think that was going to happen. If you saw us in the newsletter, we actually went with the Raiders. We thought they were getting too many points, 7.5. There was obviously a huge play in Survivor on the Colts. And again, Daniel Jones, 20 of 29 for 200 yards. Solid game, 2 TDs, some really nice throws, no interceptions. And Jonathan Taylor, 17 for 66 yards, but 3 touchdowns. He wasn't running, he wasn't busting them out, but he only had a 4-yard average. But geez, 3 TDs for John Taylor. And the Colts improved to 4-1 after that loss to the Rams last week. Jacksonville right on their heels at 3-1. They play tonight against the Chiefs. But another solid performance by the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, everybody's waiting for the other shoe to drop with these guys, but Shane Steichen has these guys playing great. They looked great. Total was 48 and a half all week long, but then it moved to 46 and a half. Ends up 40-6, just barely stays under. But it wasn't really being bet that heavily until the very end, but it gets there for people. And the Colts move on, and the Raiders fall to 1-4. New York Giants 14, New Orleans Saints 26. I said it on the podcast. I was begging Cello to join me on this one. He couldn't get there. He loved the Giants. I knew the Saints would get their first win yesterday. They did. They played with tons of energy. Spencer Rattler, I continue to be a big fan. 21 of 31 for 225 and a TD, no interceptions, no sacks. Jackson Dart, 26 of 40 for 200, 65% completion percentage. Not bad. He had 2 TDs, but he had 2 interceptions. I mean, the Saints defense was playing hungry. They were playing fast, and they were playing with tons of energy, causing those fumbles, getting those interceptions. Scattaboo had a fumble. So did Jackson Dart. They basically had 3 turnovers, and as we all know, that's tough to recover from. And the Giants fall to 1-4. New Orleans is 1-4. They get their first win. Spencer Rattler, that was actually his first win, surprisingly. But I was happy for him. He's been playing well. He's capable. He throws a good ball. He's accurate. And they got the job done. Total was 42 in this one. It did stay under. 26-14 final. Saints get the win with the under. The Dallas Cowboys came into MetLife Stadium in New Jersey and blew the doors off of the New York Jets. This game was not even close, even though the final was 37-22. Dallas continues to just score 35 a week. Blew the doors off of the Jets. Dak Prescott, 18 for 29, 237, 4 touchdowns for Dak, as the Jet defense really, really struggled. Justin Fields, 32 of 46. He had 2 TDs, but he took 5 sacks. The offensive line continues to struggle here. Breece Hall had a fumble, but he had 113 yards. Garrett Wilson, 6 for 71 and a TD on 10 targets. He had a good game. But this really was the story of Dallas's offense. I mean, they continue to just steamroll people. Their defense isn't great, but the Jets couldn't score. They couldn't keep up with them. And you can't trade touchdowns for field goals and have these turnovers and beat the Cowboys. Cowboys get the easy win. They improve to 2-2. And the Jets are now 0-5. The Denver Broncos came into the unbeaten Philadelphia Eagles, beat them 21-17. This was one of our picks in our top 5. I was really trying hard to convince Cello to come on board with me. He finally got there. Really, really good game, especially in the second half for Denver. Bo Nix, 24 of 39 for 242 and a touchdown. Dobbins, 20 for 79 and a TD. But Cam Sutton, he had some drops in the first half, but he ended up with 99 yards. Troy Franklin, 3 for 35 on 5 targets. But the Denver Broncos found themselves down 14 in this game and really showed a lot of mettle on the road and came back down 14. And they were about to tie the game, And Sean Payton decided to go for two, which I don't know what analytic model he was looking at, but basically went for two and got it. And suddenly it was 18-17. They added one more field goal to make it 21-17. So the Eagles had to score a touchdown on the final drive, which they were not able to do. But just kind of, felt like the Eagles were playing with their food a little bit for most of the day. They never, once they got up, they sort of, got a little conservative. And that Denver defense was just applying pressure all day long. And there were some overthrows. By Jalen Hurts, 23-38 for 280 yards and 2 TDs, but completion percentage was only 60. So, some drops or some overthrows, which is typical of Jalen. And they were 4-0 coming in, but as we said in the newsletter, kind of felt like there were a couple games there, especially the Travis Kelce drop, the blocked field goal against the Saints. A nice win last week against Tampa, but a little bit of a smoke and mirror show with the Eagles, and didn't really feel like they were a dominant 4-0 team. And it turns out they took one on the chin yesterday and actually lost the game to Denver, and Denver looks very good now, 3-2, leading the AFC West, and the Eagles fall to 4-1. As this game stayed under the total of 44.5. $21-17. I was sweet, but final score 21-17. Denver in the under. Then we get to the late games where all the drama happened. Tennessee Titans got their first win against the Arizona Cardinals, 22-21. This was the most heartbreaking loss of the day for the Survivor players and for anybody who bet Arizona. They had the game well in hand. The score was 21-6 at halftime. It was 21-6 in the fourth quarter, and Emari Demercado is going to feel the wrath of his team, the media, and everyone at wantomakeabet.com, and anybody who bet on Arizona or had them in Survivor yesterday. He did one of those classic moves. He was crossing the goal line and decided to flip the ball, and it was ruled a fumble and a touchback, and that was a devastating thing to happen for anybody who had Arizona in Survivor or had money on them. And then there was a horrible play late in the game. There were about 4 minutes and 20 seconds left, and Arizona got an interception and rolled over on the ground and fumbled it, and the ball was kicked into the end zone. And Tyler Lockett fell on it and scored a touchdown. So at the time, Arizona had a 9-point lead. So they were winning and covering, and they were about to get the ball back with 4 minutes left and just totally take the wind out of the sails of this drive that happened for Tennessee. Instead, Tennessee scores a touchdown, and suddenly they're down by 2. And then what happened after that was just a completely lifeless, defensive effort. There was an awful, series where Arizona just basically tried to run the clock out or make Tennessee use all their timeouts, which they did. Then they give him the ball back with a minute 50. They absolutely did not try to get a first down in any way, shape, or form. The defense wasn't hustling on the last play of the game. Kyler Murray's body language was absolutely terrible. At one point in the second half, they were sort of miscommunicated a snap, and the ball hit Kyler Murray in the face. And he wasn't ready for it, and they fumbled and turned it over. And Kyler Murray, right after that happened, walked off the field and into the locker room. Didn't run, walked into the locker room for whatever ailment or injury he had or thought he had. Then he comes back. But I mean, at that point of the game, when things are starting to slip away, first of all, why didn't you just go into the tent and get examined like 99.9% of everybody else in the league and then could get back on the field right away? Instead, he's walking with that awful body language, goes into the locker room, then comes back out. I mean, his leadership is so bad. I was not surprised that this game ended the way that it did and it all unraveled. And this is a sign of things to come. Arizona's terrible. They fall to 2-3. This is a devastating loss for them, and I don't actually think this is a game that they can recover from the entire year. Tampa Bay, Seattle. This goes 38-35 Tampa. Seattle comes in as a 3.5 point favorite. Another great day for Baker Mayfield. 29 of 33 for 379 and 2 TDs. 87% completion percentage. Just awesome. Rachaad White, 4 touchdowns. Baker, of course, rushing for 15 yards. Emeka Egbuka, another incredible day, 163 yards receiving on 7 receptions. I mean, Baker continues to go to Egbuka and go deep. He had a touchdown on 7 of 7. 7 targets, 7 receptions, 163 yards. His long was 57. Yards after catch, 32. I mean, what an unbelievable performance by this kid. He's clearly the rookie of the year. Any of those rookie of the year tickets are looking amazing with Egbuka. Seattle, Sam Darnold, 28 for 34, 341. Really nice day for Darnold, 82% completion percentage. He had 4 TDs, but he did have an interception. It was kind of like starting to feel like, whoever had the ball last in this game was going to win. And, Baker knows how to win close games, and he did it again. Ken Walker, 10 for 86 and a touchdown. He had an average of 8.6. Really nice day for him and Charbonnet, but, just wasn't enough. Smith and Jigbo seemed to be like matching his Ohio State buddy, Egbuka, 8 for 132 and a TD on 9 targets and long of 53. So the two of those going back and forth was fun to watch. This was just high-powered offense going on. I was kind of surprised that the Seahawks defense gave up this many points. I mean, this game goes flying over the total. Which wasn't even that high. It was 44.5. But man, this was just a scoring bonanza. Anyway, Tampa goes to 4-1. Seattle 3-2. Still hot battle going on in the NFC West with San Francisco, the Rams, and Seattle. But Arizona is clearly not going to be in the picture anymore. Detroit, Cincinnati, 37-24. Lions get there. This was one of our releases. Jake Browning continues to struggle. 26 of 40. 3 interceptions once again. I think he's had 3 interceptions all 3 weeks that he's played football this year. He did have 3 TDs, and he got a few things going. Jamar Chase had 2 touchdowns, but it was all too little, too late. As Detroit really, I mean, the score was 28-3 third quarter. Okay, so the game was essentially over. Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati put up 21 points in the fourth quarter, so they helped people get the over in there. But at that point, Detroit was just cruising and coasting, trying not to get people hurt. Jared Goff, 19 for 23 for 258, 82% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Like, game. Amon St. Brown had 100 yards. Laporta had 92. Gibbs, 33. Laporta and Gibbs both get in. And yeah, Cincinnati just continues to struggle. They're going to with Browning at quarterback. They did show a little bit of life, which was good, but it was all too little, too late. Detroit goes to 4-1. Cincinnati 2-3. I mean, the AFC North just looks horrible. There's not a single good team in this entire division. I mean, Pittsburgh has a lead at 3-1, but Cincinnati's terrible. Baltimore decimated with injuries, and Cleveland, is in rebuilding mode. So this just seems like an irrelevant division at this point. Washington Commanders. Went out to the LA Chargers, took care of business 27-10. I mean, the score was 10. This was like a really bad game for the Chargers. They go up 10-0 and then never score again after the first quarter. Washington comes back, scores 10 in the second quarter, and then basically put up 17 in the second half. And suddenly Chargers couldn't score, which was shocking considering how they've been playing on offense and how poor Washington's defense is on paper. Jaden Daniels came back nicely, 15 of 26. For 231 and a touchdown. Krosky Merritt was just walking into the end zone. He had 2 TDs, 111 yards. He had a fantastic game. And the Charger defense just looked terrible, especially in the second half. It's like they couldn't do anything. Herbert, decent game, 22 of 29 for 166 at a TD, but he had an interception. He got sacked 4 times. The offensive line did not look good. The fact that they didn't have Last game of the day, New England Patriots come into Buffalo as 7.5 or 8-point underdogs and just took care of business. Buffalo looked sloppy. They looked terrible. Josh Allen throwing in interceptions. like back to his old ways. I mean, this was the last of the unbeatens as we came into the night. And Philly and Buffalo were the only unbeaten teams coming in, and they both went down. New England just played fantastic last night. Drake May, 22 of 30. They just couldn't get to him. They just could not get to him. He didn't have any touchdowns, but really good completion percentage with a 9-yard average. Trevion Henderson, 6 for 24. Gibson, 6 for 21. I mean, it was just sort of a collective effort, but the story really was Stefon Diggs. The former Bill comes in here and basically took it upon himself to win this game, and he absolutely did it. 10 for 146. He didn't get in the end zone, but my God, 10 on 12 targets, a long of 32. It seemed like any time they needed anything, they went to Diggs and he got it, and he got more than he needed. So really spirited effort by Mike Vrabel coming in here and taking care of the Buffalo Bills, and not just being competitive, but actually coming in here and winning the game and showing them that, they're going to be a contender in the AFC East. Buffalo goes to 4-1. New England's now 3-2, right on their heels. Miami's awful at 1-4, and the Jets stink at 0-4, 0-5. So that's the wrap for the week, everybody. Great day of football. Really miserable for Survivor players this week, between the Rams losing on Thursday night to San Francisco as 7.5-point favorites, and Arizona there. I guess there was a considerable amount of action on the Indianapolis Colts, and they were able to take care of business. But between Arizona and the LA Rams, that probably knocked out 50% of Survivor polls this week. So if you were part of that, sorry to remind you, but Arizona especially hurt hard, as that they did not need to lose that game. They flat out blew it. But the Rams were actually outplayed and had a key fumble late in the game. And that brings us to tonight's game, which is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs visiting the hot Jacksonville Jags. I think from what I've heard, there's a lot of money on the Chiefs coming in here as 3.5-point favorites. So we'll see how that plays out. But great day at the NFL, and hopefully you manage your bankrolls well and didn't blow up early in the season in October, and lots of football left. So looking forward to this week's show, and we'll see you guys all on Wednesday.